Can see my screen and you can hear my voice also, right? In case of any issues with this, please let me know immediately so that I will try to fix that issue. Okay, and today we will start with understanding what is decision tree. In the last session we discussed about logistic regression, and also we discussed about what is odds ratio and why we need to take a log of the odds ratio and why we are not supposed to use linear regression to address the binary classification or the classification problem. And also we discussed in detail about the derivative for the logistic regression equation. And also we discussed about the assumption, logistic regression assumptions. Like a linear regression model, a logistic regression also makes some assumption, like with a very less assumption. Okay, all the independent variables are supposed to be need not to be linearly correlated with a dependent variable, like a linear regression. But in the case of logistic regression also, there should not be any collinearity amongst the independent variable. In case of any multi-collinearity is there, you need to address it. And the best solution for the multi-collinearity issue is to use principal component analysis. And also we discussed about algorithms like lasso regression, ridge regression and elastic net. Elastic net addresses both the multicollinearity as well as feature selection, because the ridge regression also, though ridge regression is helpful in addressing the collinearity, but it is not doing the feature selection. And when it comes to lasso algorithm is to do the feature selection, but it doesn't address the multicollinearity. Okay, but elastic net is an hybrid of both lasso as well as ridge regression. So using elastic net we can address multicollinearity issues as well as we can do feature selection. But again, not all the time, right? Elastic net is also very much helpful. On a case-to-case basis, we need to decide which algorithms to be used in order to, right? But in general, PCA is good for addressing the multicollinearity issues. Okay. Today, we will start with understanding what is a decision tree. Decision tree is a very popular machine learning algorithm, and it is used widely by many of them. And we will take a look at in today's session what exactly decision tree is all about and what is the mechanics of the decision tree, how it works. And within the decision tree we can use different algorithms. Okay, Jenny algorithm, entropy, information gain, shade and reduction invariance. And also we'll see how to interpret decision tree, and also we'll see how to translate the decision tree output into business rules and insights. And last but not the least, we will do the model validation, and also there is something called pruning that is very specific to decision tree. We'll see what is pruning and how to address the pruning issues in decision tree. Okay, what is decision tree? Decision tree is a non-parametric supervised machine learning algorithm. So decision is also a supervised machine learning algorithm, but it is a non-parametric supervised machine learning technique. What do you mean by non-parametric? Like linear regression, logistic regression, these two algorithms were making some assumptions. Even though you fit the model, if the accuracy is up to the mark, still you need to validate the assumptions. But whereas when it comes to decision tree, you don't have to validate any assumptions. There are no assumptions. It doesn't make any assumptions. And another advantage with the decision tree is you can address both regression as well as the classification problem. That is the beauty of decision tree. Okay, and also you don't have to do too much of data transformation. As I told you, the linear regression algorithm is sensitive to outlier, whereas decision tree is not sensitive to outlier. Even if you have missing values, it doesn't it takes care of it. Okay, you don't have to do too much of data preparation. But in the case of linear regression and logistic, right, you need to address the data related issues, outlier or any multicollinearity, everything you have to do it. But here you don't have to do anything here. Here the data preparation effort is very less compared to them. So here also you need to do data preparation, but the effort that you spend it here, right, it is very less. The advantage of decision tree is it is easy to generate rules and easy to understand and interpret. Anybody, any layman can, just by looking at the decision tree, they can understand and interpret the outcome. For example, if you look at this one, this is the data set and this is the decision tree. Fine, this is the decision tree and it is slightly, it's a bit blur, but still you can manage. Look here, I have 4 different columns for independent variable and the last one is the dependent variable. My model has to classify with the given any combination of these values in this independent variable. It should classify or predict the class label as yes or no. So there is a guy called John. He played tennis when the weather is overcast and humidity is high and the wind was weak. Right? With this combination of weather condition, he played. But with this combination of weather condition, he did not play. This is the one we recorded it. Recorded it. This is the historical data. You just assume that this is the historical data. Okay. Now, if you look at the decision tree, right? So when you build a decision tree for this data, so it is something like, see, this is called a root node, outlook, right? Outlook. In this case, the root node is outlook, and outlook is rain or sunny. Look here you have sunny and rainy, right? If the outlook is rain or sunny, and if the humidity is high, then you will not play. So here, not only it assigns the class level true or false, but also it assigns the probability also here. Which one has higher probability? Which one is the bigger thing here? This one, right? No. So there is a point, it is a bit blur, but anyhow, there is a 0.8 probability you will not play. If the weather is rain or sunny, look here, sunny, and if the humidity is high, you will not, there is a 0.2 probability only, you will play tennis, 0.8 probability you will not play tennis, right, with any given combination. And also, if you look at this, if you combine with the wind also, for example, if the outlook is rain or sunny, and the humidity is high, and if the wind is weak, look here, the outlook or rain or this one, right? So strong, okay, wind is weak, okay, there is something wrong here. Okay, wind is weak, then okay, the data is something wrong here. If the rain or sunny, and the humidity is normal. Sorry, the humidity is normal. Rain is normal, and if the weak, right, and if the wind is weak, then he will play. There is a 100% probability. There is a probability that there is a higher possibility that he will play tennis. That's what you need to look at this way. I was got confused with this. See, if the outlook is rain or sunny, when you look at the sky, right, when you go outside, if you see rain and if the humidity is normal, look at this is normal, though it is raining, but the humidity is normal and the wind is weak, not so strong, then he plays tennis. Just by looking at this decision tree, anybody can understand whether John can play or not. Will he play or not? It's pretty simple one to interpret the decision tree. That is one of the key highlights of using the decision tree algorithm. Any layman can interpret the output of this one. One second. And also the data, as I told you, right, the another advantage of this one is you don't have to spend too much of time in data preparation. Even if you are missing values or any outliers in your data set, you don't have to worry too much about that. Okay. And the disadvantage of decision tree. What is the disadvantage of the decision tree? The disadvantage of the decision tree is the decision trees are prone to overfitting. So what is overfitting, underfitting? How many of you remember it? We discussed in the previous session. Several times we discussed this term. And also the another advantage of decision tree is you can use any combination of the variable, any combination of the data types of the variables. Okay. For example, you have numeric variable or you have string variable as part of your independent variables, right? You can use the mix of both. But in the case of linear regression, logistic regression, all the independent variables are supposed to be numeric. In case the variables are not numeric, you need to convert it as a numeric. But here it is not like that. In the case of decision tree, you don't have to do any data type conversion. It can work. So for the decision tree, the input variables can be the input variables. So in this case, ID, outlook, humidity, wind. Forget about ID. So these three variables are independent variables. These three variables can be numeric or it can be discrete variables also. Okay. And what is the output? When you fit a decision tree, what is the criteria to fit a decision tree? What kind of input variables? You can have the mix of both continuous or discrete variable. The output are nothing but the leaf nodes. The last one in the decision tree are called your leaf node. Okay, you can get the rules also, right? Here if the outlook is rain or sunny, and if the humidity is normal, and if the wind is weak, then you will play tennis. If the wind is strong and if the outlook is rain, there is a 100% probability that you will not play tennis. That is what we can understand. Fine. Now I'll go back to this one. Before we proceed with diving into details of the decision tree, let us understand few terminologies with the decision trees. Okay. So if you look at this one, the decision tree, the topmost one, this one is called your root node. This is your root node. And if you look at the root node, right, just below the root node we have two different nodes. This is called your branch node. It is also called as a testing point or decision node, or in general we use the term called branch node. Root node, branch node. A branch can also have another branch, or it can have multiple branches, but at the bottom you will find the leaf. Just beneath this leaf you cannot find any other nodes. This is called your leaf node. The leaf node, it will assign the predicted class label. Look at here, in this case, if the gender is a female and if her income is 45,000 and above, and if she is maybe year one condition, if she is married, then the chances are that she can afford to buy products from us. Look here, this is the data set, right? And if the female and if her income is more than 45,000 more, right, then like this. Okay. And right side, yes, if the gender is a male and if their age is less than 40 or less than 40, then they are less likely to buy. So this is the root node, this is the branch node. A branch node can have another branch node. Sometimes a branch node can also have a subtree. But at the bottom you will find the leaf node. Just beneath, it is also called as a terminal node. Just beneath the terminal node you will not find any more nodes. Okay, this is the final one. Okay. And also depth. What do you mean by depth? The maximum. For example, this branch node, the depth of this branch node is 1, because this is just one level below the root node. And if you have assume that you have another decision node here, like our branch node, so the depth of this node is 2. Okay, so now you understand. And also pruning, we have something called pruning. What do you mean by pruning? Pruning, as I told you, the disadvantage of the decision tree algorithm is it is more likely to, or it is prone to overfit. To address that, we do some kind of pruning. What we do is we will see the tree, and where the error is falling less, right? In the case of regression problem, the mean square error is right. When you look at this one, at one point in time the mean square error is less, and just beneath this, if you see the tree, just beneath this, if you have another decision tree and if the error is more, right, then what we will do is we prune them. It is like in our garden, when you have when the tree grows, and if that extend towards our neighbor's compound, what we do is we prune the tree, we chop the tree or cut the tree. Similarly here, right, we will see, which all nodes are helpful and which nodes are not much helpful by looking at the mean squared error. In the case of regression problem, what we do is we will chop off the tree. That is called pruning. Okay, and using decision tree, we can solve both the regression as well as classification problem. So whether a customer can buy a product or not. So here, yes or no, right? The model has to predict whether yes, whether the customer is going to buy it. And also you can predict the housing price. Housing price is the numerical variable, right? What is the estimated housing price? If the size of the house is this, and if the number of bedroom is this, and the leaf node will have the estimated housing price. It will not have yes or no. In the case of regression problem, in the case of regression problem, the decision tree leaf node will have the estimated numerical value or continuous value. Okay, estimated value for the housing price, not yes or no, or the probability. Okay, probability and the class label are applicable only for the classification problem. And then, as I told you earlier, right, so by looking at the decision tree itself, you can generate rules. This is the historical data. When you train your model, decision tree model, and if you plot it, in my case, I plotted it, I got something like this. By just looking at this decision tree, I can generate a lot of rules, right? So in this case, the number of records are 14. If you have 1 million records, even though you are a subject matter expert, how many rules you can come up, right? You cannot generate so many rules, but with the decision tree, right, it automatically generates the rules. So look here, the rules. It's a little bit blurry. So what it says the same thing: rain or sunny and the humidity is normal and the wind is weak, you will play. And along with the class level, it assigns the probability. So probability is 1 here. Whereas in this case on the left side, rain or sunny and the humidity is normal, and if the wind is strong, then he will not play tennis. There is a no. The class level is no and the probability is 1. Got it? So, and how does the decision tree works? First, the tree gets created, and then it finds the split and it keeps grow the tree, and you can cut the tree or prune the tree wherever you find it, right? It is not adding much value. You can chop off the tree, and also you can, once you build the tree, we can extract the rules like this. You can extract. There are some built-in functions that are available using which automatically you can generate the rules. And different types of decision tree algorithms are there. One is the CART and ID3 and CHAID. So this one is called itemized decision tree. Okay, ID3, and this is CART. CART stands for classification regression tree. Okay, I forgot to tell you this one. See here, we are using decision tree to estimate the housing price. The estimated housing price will be in the continuous variable. What do you mean by continuous? Numerical value, right? So if you train a decision tree model to solve a regression problem, we call it a regression tree. Regression tree. To solve a classification problem also, we can train a decision tree. We call it a decision tree only. But to solve a regression problem, when you fit a decision tree, we call that as a regression tree. Remember this. In the interview, they'll ask you, they use different terms. And CHAID is chi-squared automatic intrusion detector. Okay, so CHAID, and so we can use to solve the classification problem. We can use Gini. Gini is used in CART, and Gini is a technique, okay, that is used in CART, and CHAID is used in chi-square, okay, and we have something information gain. This is a separate thing, okay, which measures purity of an attribute. See, for classification problem, these are the algorithms we can use it. For regression problem, it uses reduction in variance, okay. Other regression specific algorithm is F-test. Let us not worry about this one. At this moment, you just remember this one. But don't worry, I will explain all these things little later. Look at this data set. look at especially the target variable. This is the dependent variable, this is the target variable. But these are training data given by my manager or somebody gives me in my team, right? They are giving me, sir, so these are the days he played tennis and these are the weather condition he did not play tennis. What I do is probability of play. When you look at this, how many S's are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 S's are there. Out of 14 records. There is a 9 out of 14 chances that he play tennis. And how many chances that he will not play tennis? There is a 5 out of 14 chances that he will not play tennis. And okay, now what we need to understand one thing is very clearly. When you look at this decision tree, the root node is outlook. I told you the topmost one is the root node. Now the question is why this column outlook is considered as a root node. Listen very carefully. Why the outlook column has been considered as the root node, right? In this case, is it just because the outlook column located first in this data set? Does the decision tree use this column as a root node? No. This is very important point. And also humidity. The next one is humidity. Okay. And so now the question is how the root node, so or which independent variable will be used as a root node? Are there any rationale behind this? Yes. It is not that just because this column located first, it considered this one as a root node. No. So then how this column has been considered as a root node? That is where the algorithm uses these techniques, right? So the cart, child or reduction variant, these different algorithms are helpful in terms of identifying the root node. And how does the branch node is determined? Using the same technique like Gini or entropy, information gain. Using that, it determines which column supposed to be used as a root node, which column supposed to be used as a branch node, and which column supposed to be used as a sub branch node, right? It is determined based on the various techniques like Gini, entropy, information gain, reduction in variance, shade, and so on. Don't worry. Okay, now let us try to understand what is impurity. Look at this data set here. The outlook column, how many distinct values are there? How many unique values are there? Sunny, overcast, rain. That's all, right? What is overcast? Overcast is nothing but cloudy weather. The weather is cloudy. It is not raining, but it is cloudy. Sunny, cloudy, rain. Only 3 values are there. Am I correct? Only these 3 distinct values are there. So what in this case it did was it considered the outlook as a root node. In this column, there are 3 distinct values are there: sunny, cloudy, and rain. In this group, there are 3, instead of saying 3 different classes, 3 different groups are there. Sunny, we have 2 out of 3. Look at here, sunny 2, and look at here, 5 sunnies are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now you need to look at the target values for the sunny. How many no's are there for sunny? 3, and 2 yes and 3 no for sunny. 2 yes, 3 no's. Of the 5 records are there for sunny, we could see 3 no's and 2 yes. First we'll start with 2 yes, and the next one is yes. Fine. This is very interesting. This one, okay, overcast, cloudy. When you look at this data set, overcast, how many number of times overcast occurs here? 1, 2, 3, 4. When you look at the target variable, all the values are yes. All the values in the target variable as yes in it for the overcast. Since it does not have no here, the mix of yes and no, we call that as a pure node. We don't see any impurity. Here we have the mix of both yes or no. Hence it is called impure node. Similarly here, this is also impure node. Or let us say if you have no, 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 all no's, we don't see any yes at all, that is also pure node. You should not have the mix of both yes or no. When you look at the sunny group, it is a impure node. Overcast is a pure node, and rain is impure node. So here we just counted how many yeses are 3 yes and 2 no. So whichever column or whichever group has impure values in it, that group will undergo further split. So this group, since this group being a pure node, it doesn't require any further splitting. Okay, so this is a impure node, this is an impure node, it requires further splitting. How long, how many number of iterations, how many number of times we need to split this one? Look here, to answer to this one. So now it moves to the second column, humidity. Look at this one, humidity. How many no's are there, how many yeses are there? Within high. High we have 3, right? 3 no's. Look here. 0 yes, 3 no's are there. And in the humidity, how many, in the normal, how many yeses, how many no's? Only 2 yes and 0 no's. Okay, 2. So here we have only no and we have yes here, right? 2 pure subsets. Do you think this node require further split? No. Because here we have only, one class is, one category is 0, other category is 3. Here the first category is 2 and second category is 0. Hence it doesn't require any further split. So to conclude or to summarize, you split the variable recursively until it becomes pure node. Right? Similarly, when you look at the rain here, right, here we found 3 yes and 2 no's. Hence it is a impure node, it requires further split. So in that case, automatically it moves to the second column. The second column we could see 3 normal. Of the 3 normal, 2 yes, 1 no is there. Okay, 1 second. Sorry, we are supposed to look at wind here. In this case, wind. 4 weak is there. Now of the 4 weak, 3 yes is there. Something wrong here. Yeah, here actually strong. Look at strong. Okay, strong. Actually, it's supposed to have 3 weak and 2 strong. Okay, strong is 0 yes. Okay, so this is also strong. This is a typing mistake. You just think this is strong. Okay, 2 strong values are there, and for the corresponding target value is no. And 3 weak is there. The corresponding target value is yes. So in the case of wind column, the weak we have 3 yes and 0 no's, and here in the case of strong we have 0 yes and 2 no's. Does it require any further split? No. It became a pure subset. So it is a top-down approach, the decision tree. What it does is it recursively partitions the data until it splits the nodes as a pure nodes. Okay. So that is the whole idea of this one. So the next one is we will look at what is okay. Now the question is, how does this split happens? Do I have to write any program? You don't have to write anything. And the other thing is, how does this column considered as a root node? How does this columns were considered as a branch node? Why can't it be the humidity variable or an independent variable as a root node? And why can't it be the outlook variable as a branch node? To answer to that, we will look at this one, right? The order of splitting the variable, the order of the splitting the variable in your given data set is determined by these algorithms. Now we'll see the Gini. What is Gini? So this is the equation for Gini. Very simple one. Probability of I and probability of J. Gini index. Apart from this, you need to before you use this one, you need to use Yeah, this is the formula for this. 1 minus probability of class 1 whole squared, 1 minus probability of class 2 whole squared. Gini index of split. Now you need to subtract this value here. Sorry, you need to substitute this value here. So Ni divided by N into Gini. Okay. So, okay. Anyhow, Gini index performs only binary splits. Remember this. Gini, using Gini index method, you can perform only binary splits. The Gini is used in COT algorithm. Okay. Now let us look at this image, and with this you will be able to understand how this Gini index method works. So here how many classes are there? Only one class is there. But here how many classes? Two classes, yellow and red. But total class 1 is 6. I call class 1 as a yellow balls. Class 2 we don't see anything, 0. Whereas here yellow balls are 5 times circle or ball, right? And class 2 we have only one red. One red, 5 yellows are there. But if you apply the Gini formula here, what you can 1 minus probability of A. So class 1 appears how many number of times out of the total number of events? 6 out of 6 whole squared minus the second red is not there here, class 2, 0 divided by total number of objects squared. So you get 6 by this 1 squared minus 0 divided by anything is 0, right? So 1 minus 1 is 0. So it's a pure node. So this one is the pure node. You remember yes or no, right? In the case of outcast, cloudy weather, I told you we have only yes on the target variable. We did not have the mix of both. The same thing is applicable. If you use the formula also, it will say 0 impurity. That means a pure node. It doesn't record any further split. But if you look at, if you get it something like this, 1 minus 5 by 6 total number of objects whole squared minus 1 divided by 6 whole squared 0.1, low impurity. Here impurity is there. It is not a pure node, but the impurity is less here. But when you increase the, supposing you have 3 red and 3 yellow, the impurity goes very high, so 0.50. And how does this split happens? Supposing you have in the root node you have something like this, on the left node and right node you have something like this. This is a pure node, this is an impure node. So when you saw, this is Gini left, Gini right, okay. On the left side, when you apply the formula 0.37, the right side you get. Finally, you need to put it here in the final formula, okay. Find a Gini split, 4 divided by 6. So here 4 divided by 6 into Gini left 0.375 minus 2 divided by 6 into Gini right is 0.25. When you plug in these values, right, when you solve this one, you will get something 0.25. If the Gini value score is very high, that can lead to that nodes will undergo the split fast. Look at this another example, classic example. Look here. I have a student's data set. So in the student we have both two categories, one a female student and male student. Of the 30 students, 10 students are female, 20 students are male. Of these 10 female students, only 2 girls they play tennis. So 2 out of 10 is 20%. Of these 20 male students, only 13 play cricket. 13 out of 20 is 65%. 65% of the male student they play tennis, and 20% of the female student they play tennis or cricket, whatever it may be. Now I have a column called gender and I have another column called class. Two independent variables are there. Now I need to understand of these two independent variables, which variable will undergo the split first and which variable will undergo the split next. That I need to understand. Now we need to calculate the Gini for subnode female, right? So here 0.2 into 0.2 plus 0.8 into, see, if you subtract the value from 1, right, you will get, or 100, you will get 20, right? So 20 by 0.2. So look at this formula, probability of class A. Okay, class A is what? 0.2 probability. 0.2 probability play tennis. Another class is remaining 0.8 is not playing tennis, right? 0.2 probability or playing the 0.2 probability of girls are playing tennis. Remaining 0.8 or not playing tennis. They don't have to tell explicitly. They don't tell explicitly. You understood, right? So we need to understand, when you plug in the value, since we are squaring as per the formula, 0.2 into 0.2 plus remaining girls, those do not play, 0.8 into 0.8. So if you do this, you get 0.68, and finally you need to subtract these values from 1, you will get 0.32. And similarly, when you look at for a male, you get 0.45. And now you need to use this step, okay, Gini split class, okay, 10 divided by 30 into 0.32 plus 20 divided by 30 into 0.4, you will get some value, right? And similarly, when you apply the same thing for class 9 and 10, you have a column called class, okay, you get 0.51. So here you get 0.51. Let's say here you get let's say you get 0.45. Let's say assume that 0.45 you are getting it. Of these two, which one is bigger? 0.51. Or let's say if this is 56 and if this is a 0.51, then gender node will undergo the split first and then class node will undergo the split next. But anyhow, don't worry, in the entropy you will understand very clearly. This is the formula for entropy. I don't want to start with the formula, directly we'll jump into the example. The same data set, okay. How many times he played tennis? How many times he did not play tennis? 9 times he played tennis out of 14 occasions. And out of 14 occasions, 5 times he did not play tennis. This is the data set. So I'm going to use number of positives 9. That means 9 times he played. Number of negatives 5. That means 5 times he did not play. Positive plus negative you add, you get 14. And this is the formula for the entropy. So 9 out of 14 times he did not play tennis into log base to 9 out of 14. So positive value into log of the positive value minus negative value into log of negative value, you will get something. Okay. So first step is you need to find out this one. The second step is you need to loop through each and every column's subset of the value. First we will go to Outlook column. In the Outlook Sunny, we know very well 5 records were there. Out of 5, 2 times he played tennis and 3 times he did not play tennis in the Sunny group. When you plug in this value in this equation, what will happen? 2 times out of 5 sunny, right? Out of 5 sunny days, 2 times he played tennis, and log of the same thing, minus 3 times out of the 5 sunny days he did not play tennis. Log of this one, you get some value. Very simple one. The same thing is applicable. So finally you will get 0.971, 0 here 0.971. The next step is similarly we will have to find out, this is called gain, okay, information gain, gain for the Outlook column, okay. If you find out finally, see the 0.94, okay, fine. So you need to, you have this value, right? First overall entropy value you calculated it, you need to subtract from this one the remaining 3 entropy values, okay. 0.94 minus 5 out of 14 into 0.971. For this one 0.971, and here 0, ignore it, okay. Here 5 out of 14 into 0.971. Sorry, here it is 4 out of 14. Okay, this is Rania, this is 4, I think. Okay, there is some problem here. 4 out of 4. No, sorry, it's correct only. 5 by 14 into 0.971. Both the cases same value, but 4 out of 14 into 0, right? So you get some value 0.246. So it might confuse you, but it's a very simple one. What you do is, after this session, I will share the video. You pause it and watch it one more time, okay? Then you will be able to understand. But once you understand the entropy, then you are all set. We have computed the outlook using these steps, and we got the value for outlook as 0.2406. Similarly, If you compute the gain for Outlook alone not sufficient, you need to we have two other independent variables are there, right? So humidity and wind. You need to compute the gain for other two independent variables. So finally, the information gain for the Outlook we got this value. Information gain for the humidity we got. Information gain for wind we got this one. Now of these three values, which one is bigger? This one. Since the information gain value is very high compared to other two independent variables, especially for the new Outlook, the value is very high compared to other two variables. Hence, this variable is considered as a root node. Now we understood. Hope you understood how the root node which variable is considered as a root node. How the root node variable is determined. Now we understood with this one. And next one is we are left with remaining two columns, gain values, information gain values. Of these two, which one is having higher value? 0.48. So hence the humidity is the immediate branch node followed by the root node, and this one falls under this one. That is what we have seen it, right? So with this entropy and information gain, you understood how the root node variable is determined. Next we have shade. Shade is used for multi-way split. So far we discussed about binary split. Look here, if you look at look here, see this root node under which you have binary, and again just below this, if you have any other thing, right, you have another binary node. But what if you have more than 3 node or more than 2 sub node, branch node, right? That is where the shade is coming into picture. Shade is very simple. Anyhow, I'm going to skip shade now. Let us not worry about shade also. Let us directly jump into reduction invariance. Okay, because this is the one is important one. This is the one is used in random forest algorithm. Okay, and you know very well what is variance. As part of descriptive statistics, I discussed about variance. You need to subtract the mean value from each and every value, and you need to square it, and you need to divide this one by the total number of samples. Let us say you have 1, 2, 3. 3 values are there. 1, 2, 3. What is the mean value? 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 divided by 3 is how much? 2, right? That is the mean value. So 1 minus 2 whole square. Why we are squaring it? Because we don't want the negative values. Hence we are squaring it. So minus into minus will become positive. That is what the equation. But if you take the square root of this one, we call that as a standard deviation. That is what we discussed. Very simple one, reduction invariance. Same thing, we apply the formula on this one. So now we need to understand of these two independent variables, which one should undergo the split first, and which one should undergo the split next. Okay, in which order it has to get splitted, whether class should get splitted first and then gender, or the opposite. For that we will use reduction invariance. Previously for the same scenario we have used information gain, and also we have used Gini. Now we are using reduction invariance. If I use reduction invariance, for example, in simple term, right, if you use it, whichever column has lesser variance compared to the parent node, right, so the split would take place on the. So in this case, look at here for the gender node, male and female. This is a gender node, right? Gender node, the reduction variance is 0.21. For the classes column, the reduction variance is 0.25. Okay. And now you need to compare these two values. Of these two values, which one is lesser? 0.21. Lesser the variance of the column, that one will undergo the split first. That is the difference between reduction invariance and other. So in the previous case, whichever node has higher information gain value or the Gini value, that node will undergo split. It is opposite. In the case of reduction invariance, whichever node has lesser variance, that node will undergo the split first, and then the other node will undergo the split. So now let us look at the formula. So here mean value is 15 into 1. Look here. Here if you look at this data set, 30 students are in total. 15 play cricket. That means remaining 15 people, they don't play cricket. So how many students play cricket? 15. So 15 into 1. That means for each student, right? One should write 15 students. 15 into 1 plus 15 into 0 is these students are not playing cricket. So 15 into 1 plus 15 into 0 divided by 30.5. And we have 15 1 and 15 zeros. Now the variance. Now we need to find out the variance. Each student, I say 1 1. Okay, all the 30 students, let's say if you write 1 1 1 1 1, right? So 1 minus the mean value, x minus x bar whole square plus 1 minus 0.1, and those do not play cricket, 0. 0 minus 0.5 whole square, 0. You right, finally you get something like, so this one, and 15 into 1 minus 0.5 whole square, 15 into, you get 0.25, the same thing. Okay, I just explained it here, but here I put everything together. 15 students into the variance, right, squared, and this one, so you get 0.25. Same way I applied for male and gender and classes. But when you look at these two node, gender and classes, gender column has lesser variance, hence the algorithm will split this gender column first and then it will split the classes node. So random forest, next we will see what is random forest. Random forest uses the reduction in variance technique in the case of regression problem. Okay, so it is an ensemble based learning method. It is an ensemble based learning method. In the case of random forest algorithm, it builds multiple trees. Okay, it builds multiple trees. The advantage of random forest is the same, the applicable, right? Whatever we discussed at the outset of today's session, the same things are applicable here also. So it treats missing values in case of any outlier values. Right? You don't have to do too much of data pre-processing, and also it takes care of doing the feature selection. It does the feature selection automatically. All right. It's a type of ensembling learning because it creates multiple trees. That's the reason why we call that as ensembling method. The advantages, you can fit both, you can solve both regression as well as the classification problem. It will not overfit the model. That is the advantage of random forest model. And also you can do feature selection using random forest. The disadvantage is it is good for classification but not as good as regression. How does this algorithm works? The random forest algorithm, what it does is it builds multiple trees. In the case of R programming language, if you train a random forest model, it builds 500 trees by default. But you will have a control. You can specify, hey, I don't need you to build 500 trees because my volume of the data is very high. If you build multiple trees, 500 trees, my training time will be very high. Okay, forget about that one. By default, in R, it builds 500. How about Python? In Python, it builds by default 10 trees only. But you can increase the number of trees also. Okay. So, instead of creating a one single decision tree, it creates, let us say, take for example 10 decision tree. Each decision tree, for example, you want to decide, right? I'll give a simple analogy. In the case of, for example, in your team, So in this case, right, in the case of the simple analogy is in the case of random forest, sorry, or some family thing. Okay, the simple analogy is you are planning to take your team members to a or team lunch. You are decided to go for a team outing with your team members. In your team, you have 10 people are there. Developer, senior developer, the mix of all the people are there including you, 10 people are there. What you do is you are asking their opinion. Hey, which restaurant can we go for a team lunch? Majority, if they say no, I prefer to go to let's they say majority will say we can go to hotel A, and only few of them they say B. Which one you will prefer? You go by majority, right? The same analogy is applicable in random forest also. It builds 10 trees. Each tree will produce the predicted class level. Let's say tree 1 says A, tree 2 says A, and tree 3 decision tree 3 says or predicts the label output as B, and majority is majority is A, and finally the random forest model assigns the predicted label class as A for a customer. For example, whether customer is going to default the loan or not if I approve the loan. The random forest model, let's say it builds 10 trees, and each tree assigns the predicted label for the single customer as yes, yes, no, no, yes, yes, and finally the model, before it assigns the predicted class label, behind the scene it checks each and every tree's predicted class label, and it goes by the majority, and then it assigns the majority class label to the customer. Hope you understood. But here what happens is, right, all the 10 trees you can create all the 10 trees in parallel, hence the training time is much faster. Another thing what you need to remember when it comes to random forest is it splits the training data set. It splits this training data set into, it randomly samples the training data set with resampling. For example, 10 trees, you have one training data set. It randomly sample, let's in the first data set you have 1, 2, 3. Second data set you have 3, 4, 5. The first tree 1, 2, 3 record number 1, 2, 3 have taken. Second tree, it might randomly taken 3, 4, 5. There will be overlap. Second tree can also have the record number 3. First tree can also have the record number 3. But ultimately it randomly samples your training data set and splits this randomly sampled data with resampling to other trees. Okay, that is how the trees are built, and ultimately, and also it randomly chooses the independent variables also. It not only randomly samples the data, it also randomly assigns the different independent variables for different trees. Supposing you have 10 trees, independent variables need not to be same. Maybe are overlap, but need not to be same. But the data is also not same, but there will be some extent there will be overlap. And also, since these trees need not to create it in sequence, all these trees will get generated in parallel. Hence, the training time is very less. Since you are getting opinion from multiple trees, the accuracy will be good. It is very unbiased, right? Okay, in the case of classification problem, it goes by majority class. In the case of regression problem, what it does is all the 10 trees, let's take this same example, 10 trees, each tree assigns the estimated predicted value for your housing price. First tree says 1 crore, second tree says 1.2 crore, the third tree says if you buy this house with this specification, so 1.1 crore. And finally what it does is it aggregate all the values. It adds all the values and takes the average, and the average of prediction from the entire forest for regression. Okay, in the case of regression, the final prediction is the average of prediction from the entire forest for regression. In the case of classification, it goes by the majority vote. Fine. So this is how the random forest algorithm works. What I will do is, right, I am getting disturbed my office people now. As of now, I am going to wrap up the session. Okay. What I will do is I will share the video. So next weekend onwards, whether people, even one person joins, I will continue the session. Okay. Because my target is by December second week we are supposed to finish almost all the machine learning algorithm. Okay, but don't worry, we'll finish it off. But I covered the random forest. Next week I will cover gradient boosted decision tree and also show you the implementation, how to implement random forest and gradient boosted decision. This is very, very important. We can also show you a demo of how to address the pruning also. The pruning and all, it comes with a single decision tree. Nobody uses individual decision tree. Like I told you in the case of random forest, it builds multiple trees and it goes with the majority voting in the case of classification. In the case of regression, it takes the average of all the trees' estimated value. In the case of gradient boosted decision tree, each tree is depending on the previous tree. Okay, here also multiple trees are generated, but every tree is depending on the previous tree. Okay, this one I'll explain. Even if I explain you now, next week you will forget it. What I will do is I'll explain gradient decision tree, and I will give you the implementation also next week, right? I will give you the demo on how to do that. And also next weekend we'll start giving you the assignments, start work on the assignments on this one. Okay, we'll see k-means, hierarchical clustering, everything, right? So everything. So this is, I hope all of you have this link. Okay, and anyhow I will share it once again. You just go through on this study material, and I will share this recorded video also. Okay, and you watch this video also. Okay, fine. Any questions? Okay, since you don't have any questions, we will circle back next week same time. Okay, bye.
Thank you, Satya.
Yeah, thanks, right.